All right, today we're diving into one of the most unconventional and frankly bizarre political crossovers of the year. We are talking about an unexpected alliance between Donald Trump and, wait for it, reality TV star Spencer Pratt. Yep, you heard that right. We're looking at this really fascinating collision of Hollywood economics, super intense political rhetoric, and a campaign strategy that looks like it was pulled straight out of a movie script. If you've been following the shifting landscape of California politics or the entertainment industry in general, you are absolutely going to want to see how these pieces are currently being stitched together by some very vocal figures.
To really set the stage here, Pratt recently made this massive economic claim. He said, "I'm working with the president on a 25% federal film tax credit to bring back Hollywood." Now, regardless of where you sit on the political spectrum, we can all agree this is a massive proposal. Pratt, who is a former Los Angeles mayoral candidate, is basically framing himself as an active policy collaborator with Donald Trump, and they're aiming directly at the heart of the American entertainment industry. So for this explainer, we're going to look strictly at the source material to see exactly how this alliance formed and what they're actually proposing.
So here's our roadmap. We'll start with the White House meeting, then examine the stolen election claims, break down the plan to save Hollywood, look at casting the political villains, and finally explore taking on the machine. All right, Section 1, the White House meeting, an unexpected political pairing. According to the source material, this wasn't just some brief passing handshake in a hallway. This meeting took place right inside the White House. The attendees, Donald Trump, Spencer Pratt, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, plus Pratt's father and his son. On top of that, the source notes the two also connected recently at a Los Angeles golf course while Trump was visiting LA. I mean, it is a highly eclectic mix of people, right? You've got a former reality star who ran an unsuccessful campaign for LA mayor sitting down with the absolute highest levels of the current administration.
Moving on to Section 2, the stolen election claims, Skid Row, and the FBI.
So, the source material reports that Donald Trump has actually taken up Pratt's cause regarding that local Los Angeles election. Trump is quoted as claiming that Democrats cheated like dogs to steal the mayoral election away from Spencer Pratt. In fact, Trump has reportedly declared that Pratt actually won the election but gave up too easily, urging them to keep fighting for Los Angeles. These are obviously incredibly strong accusations of election theft, and it's pretty wild to see them directed specifically at a local municipal race.
And according to the source, this rhetoric allegedly sparked some serious real-world action. Let's actually walk through how this sequence played out. Following these claims of a stolen LA election, the video reports that FBI agents literally descended on and raided Skid Row. During the sweep, agents were specifically interviewing homeless individuals, questioning them about potential election fraud. It just goes to show how rapidly these high-level political claims can translate into actual federal investigations on the ground in a place like LA.
That brings us to Section 3, the plan to save Hollywood, tax credits, and outsourcing. The absolute crucial number in all of this? 25%. Spencer Pratt claims he and Donald Trump are actively working on a 25% federal film tax credit. The goal here is to repatriate the film industry, basically bringing production jobs back to Los Angeles, a city that Pratt argues is currently being destroyed economically. To really understand the why behind this massive credit being proposed, you have to see how Pratt views the current landscape. On one hand, he claims the Los Angeles film industry is rapidly losing jobs and struggling just to survive. On the other hand, you have competitors, places like Canada, the UK, Budapest, and Atlanta, who are, in his exact words, stealing our lunch. He argues that without significant federal incentives, the quintessential American entertainment industry is just going to keep bleeding out to these international and out-of-state competitors. Let's shift gears to Section 4, casting the political villains, politicians versus studios. The source highlights this video released by Pratt where he essentially turns local politics into a literal movie script. He defines California's leaders using a classic cinema trope, the archetypal bro. You know the type, the movie villain with coiffed hair and a sweater tied around his neck who steals your lunch money. Well, this is the exact caricature he maps onto state politicians like California Governor Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Bonta. So Pratt structures his entire argument around this classic hero versus villain dynamic. The villains, Newsom and Bonta, are allegedly chasing productions out of town, sending lucrative projects to places like Budapest, and just neglecting incentives altogether. Meanwhile, the heroes are the major studios like Paramount and Warner Brothers. He credits them with spending decades building up Hollywood and claims the politicians are actively trying to cripple these historic studios over mere politics. And the literal battlefield for this alleged political sabotage revolves around an absolutely massive figure, $110 billion.
According to the source, Pratt claims that California politicians are actually suing to block Paramount from investing $110 billion into Warner Brothers. He frames this action as a direct, intentional attempt to ensure the local industry crumbles even further.
Just think about the cinematic legacy at stake here for a second. You have Warner Brothers classics like The Matrix, The Dark Knight, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter. Then you look at the massive past collaborations between Paramount and Warner Brothers, incredible films like Interstellar, Zodiac, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Pratt uses this incredible history to argue that blocking a merger of this scale is not only absurd, but actively harmful to consumers. He jokingly asks if these politicians are going to step in next to ban Steven Spielberg from working with John Williams, or The Rock from working with Kevin Hart.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Taking on the Machine, Steve Hilton's campaign.
The source points to a budding political alliance between Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton, who happens to be running for governor of California. Hilton has explicitly promised that Pratt will have a role in his administration if he actually wins. So what role is Pratt playing right now? Well, he is reportedly using his background to produce cinematic, totally Hollywood-quality campaign videos for Steve Hilton.
Now, Hilton's campaign ads, which definitely have that distinct Pratt flair, focus heavily on specific societal grievances. The ads aggressively highlight California's challenges, pointing out the highest taxes in the country, record-high gas prices, severe homelessness, and this huge wave of local businesses closing down. The imagery itself is described as beautifully shot, but conceptually, it is very dark and dystopian.
Hilton's core messaging really captures that dark tone perfectly. The quote goes, "As long as the machine rules California, nothing will ever change. As long as you submit to the machine, you don't have to do anything." The ad characterizes the state's Democratic establishment as a literal unfeeling machine, designed entirely to just maintain the status quo and suppress any kind of resistance.
And for the upcoming election, they actually give this machine a face. The ad explicitly targets Javier Becerra, framing him as the handpicked Democratic nominee created by the machine to blindly carry on Gavin Newsom's policies. By bringing in these high-end Hollywood production values, Hilton and Pratt are basically trying to turn the California gubernatorial race into a literal sci-fi battle between the people and a dystopian establishment.
Which leaves us with this pretty huge question. What happens when reality TV, Hollywood economics, and dystopian political campaigns all merge into California's elections? We're looking at a totally unprecedented blending of entertainment and political machinery here. You've got a former reality star allied with Donald Trump, proposing massive federal tax credits, all while producing movie-quality attack ads against state politicians. It is going to be fascinating to see if this cinematic strategy actually moves the needle with real voters. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning the narratives unfolding on your screens.